there's been a lot of talk about a lot of these gurus, so-called, manosphere gurus, are exploiting the loneliness and the anger and the rage and the frustration and all of these different types of stuff, emotions from young men who feel isolated, who feel alone. And you've got gurus telling you, I can help you get laid, I can help you get girls. And they themselves are lame. They've just learned how to use the system and make them appear a bit better than you. And by the time the 50th person has paid them, they are now better than you because they're making more money. But at the time that they were talking, they were faking till they make it. A lot of gurus fake it till they make it. And then it's only when you're the 100th person that's now met this guru, it feels like they are what they say they are. Because at that time, that current time they are. But when they first started, they faked it till they made it, right? You're tired, you're frustrated in this rat race, right? You're tired of your 9 to 5. You want to find another way, but a way that doesn't make you work harder, but makes you work smarter, right? I'm not saying something more complicated, like I'm trying to think of a complicated way of doing that. Going to work every single day is a chore. Okay, that's still quite simple. That's actually quite a good one. Going to work every day is a chore. You get up, you wake up, you go to work, you come back, you get up, you wake up. But that's simple. Maybe it's I've got a lot of knowledge, experience in marketing, so probably it's hard for me to think about being complicated. But there's ways of being complicated that people will not understand. Okay, for example, if I'm speaking to a therapist, me and a therapist will speak very differently if I'm speaking to a non-therapist, because I'm not going to use the same words to describe the same phenomena, because you would not understand it. I'm using jargon related to psychotherapy or my particular modality in psychotherapy. So, for example, when I do a lot of interviews and podcasts and they say, explain to me mental health. And I'll say, okay, very simply, mental health is how you feel about yourself, how you feel others feel about you, and how you are in relation to the world. To me, that's very simple. Now, if I was talking to maybe a more learned audience, so mental health practitioners or psychotherapy, people that are in the field and understand, and we'll talk about, mental health is the overall well-being of a person that is functioning well in society, contributing back. There's more things that I would say. It'll be more of a paragraph. We'll talk about more things. All right. I'm able to do that because there's a basis of understanding there already. So it's about the audience that you're going to. But I think where people are offended, I'm not offended, but where I can see people are offended is you said street language. So, but I don't think his videos are like, yo, yo, yo. He's not pandering to black audiences in that way. He's not trying to use slang, but he says street. So people would be offended by that, because what you're trying to say, like, there are black people, a large percentage of black people, especially black women, who are overqualified in many instances, that can understand big English, yeah? So you don't need to dumb it down. Right, but there is a proportion of the black community that is illiterate, unfortunately, because of the school system and many other factors that contribute to that.
There's a 10 times better chance, 10x, that the black kid knows me. Now, the reason is because we go after that audience and we're talking to them in very street terms, if you would.
Very street terms, yeah. I already made reference to that. Very street terms. Probably what he meant to say, but I can't assume that. So what I would have said is, without jargon, clear, straightforward, precise. Hit them at their pain point, right? They mean hit them where it hurts. Hit them what they're desiring. You want money because you ain't got money, essentially, right? But when you're in these type of interviews, sometimes you're being interviewed so many times. Sometimes you're not actually as good of a speaker when you're being interviewed, unless you're really prepared for the questions. We don't know if he was prepared beforehand. Sometimes when you're really comfortable, you say things shorthand in a certain way that then can be offensive to others, and you're not meaning to, but because you're saying it in shorthand, you're not overly thinking about every single word that you say.
Very not big nomenclature, vocabularies, we just keep everything very tight and simple. And
not big nomenclature. I came to try to understand what he meant by nomenclature. A set or systems of names or terms as those used in a particular. I don't know what that means. I don't know what he means by nomenclature. So even that word, I don't know. Does it fit the sentence? Because it's about assigning of names. It's about names of systems. So maybe really what he's trying to say is that he's not using jargon. He speaks directly, straight to the point, to the predominantly black audience, right? So I can see how people will be offended by that and assume what he's basically saying is that black people are stupid. I can see how people can be offended by that. And there is an element that that could be potentially the case. It could be that, unfortunately, a lot of these rich men actually do believe that, but they target us because they say that black people, the money, the dollar, the pound don't stay in our hands long, but they stay longer in other cultures. So we're not the only people that know that. As a black person, I'm sure Asian people are aware of that, and I'm sure white people are aware of that. Therefore, it's manipulated when it comes to um, business. You have to understand that when you're trying to make money as a business, right? You end up stratifying people. So, for example, there's a way of targeting people's earning potential. Yeah, not in every country, but in some countries you're able to target that if that evidence, if that data is available. So a lot of people are cut off. You go to the top percentile, the top 3 percentiles of people making 50K or more. So that means majority of people are already cut off from that, right? So a person is only targeting that group of people. Where I think a lot of people have issues with, and this is a thing even in the UK. There's a few there's some black coaches that I don't know. There's been things about being said about they target the black community. They are black themselves, but the amount that they charge, knowing that the community they are targeting can't afford it. I don't know. It's hard because it's like within UK black community, there's all types of different subcultures, and there's obviously all types of different classes in that sense, and all types of different groups of people within that can afford maybe a 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K, 10K, 15K program, and others can't. But generally speaking, you might say, yeah, the black, a lot of black people can't afford it. And the work that I do within therapy, I can say that some black people can't even afford £120 a month on their mental health. They will literally come into you, get assessed, say commit, get matched, and only do a month because they say finances. And it's shocking because you think, wow, you can't. You've had enough time. You've waited a few weeks, essentially, sometimes even longer, to be matched. You've not started saving up. You're not doing things to put yourself in a position where you can say, irrespective of what's going on, at least for 3 months, at least for 6 months, I can financially support myself in therapy because I need it. So you have to weigh up things. We need more research in this area. I think we need research in a lot of different things because I think what we do is we use anecdotes, right? That's why I've said there's different groups. So I would rather say that there are different groups that say X, Y, Z rather than generally say black people are this. So there's stereotypes that we can even agree comes from some sort of truth, right? I know people. Let me just say I know. I don't think I actually know, but I've met people who, if I even speak to them, they're like, "Bruv, I don't understand what you're saying." I'm like, "Wait, mate, I don't understand how you don't understand. How do you not understand what I'm saying? I'm not speaking even the Queen's English, mate. I'm just speaking basic English." So, yeah, I thought it's interesting. Do I think Grant Cardone is racist? I need more evidence. I would need more evidence to purport that statement, right? I would need more evidence to actually say that he is or is not racist. But what I can say is that what that clip, right, that I played to you suggests is that he feels that he's generally speaking, he feels that the black audience needs to be, the information to the black audience needs to be dumbed down. And I think that's indicative of racial stereotyping. There's truth in that. The reality is we understand the issues in our community. We can't act like there isn't people in the community that are illiterate, that can't understand certain basic concepts because of many factors. He's not his job to then say the socioeconomic factors, racism. Well, that's not his job. He's here to make money and help you make money, right? However, I think when you hear that, for me and for others, I think one has to realize that a lot of these people, even white or black, Asian, whatever, are exploiting weaknesses within our community and many other communities, right? there's been a lot of talk about a lot of these gurus, so-called, manosphere gurus, are exploiting the loneliness and the anger and the rage and the frustration and all of these different types of stuff, emotions from young men who feel isolated, who feel alone. And you've got gurus telling you, I can help you get laid, I can help you get girls. And they themselves are lame. They've just learned how to use the system and make them appear a bit better than you. And by the time the 50th person has paid them, they are now better than you because they're making more money. But at the time that they were talking, they were faking till they make it. A lot of gurus fake it till they make it. And then it's only when you're the 100th person that's now met this guru, it feels like they are what they say they are. Because at that time, that current time they are, but when they first started, they faked it till they made it, right? So I think it's important to recognize that, unfortunately, in the coaching industry, a lot of coaches, a lot of mentors, a lot of people, because the industry is not regulated, anyone can call himself a coach, are exploiting the weaknesses and vulnerabilities of people and making money and leaving people in a situation maybe far worse than they were before. So I hope you've enjoyed that topic. Tell me your thoughts. What do you feel like? What is your opinion, and how do you feel, about what Grant Cardone says? Do you think that indicates that he's racist? Do you think that no, he was just explaining marketing. He was just explaining how he markets to a different group. It's not straightforward. He's not being rude. He's saying that he's saying what all good marketers would do: make it simple. Or you just don't really care, you're indifferent to it. Let me know your comments below. Let's chat it up, because I think that 5 Black people are going to have 5 different opinions, which I think quite interesting, right? Which is amazing.